You're listening to the Telltale channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Hey, this is Owen. If you're comfortable, leave your first name and state at the sound of the tiny truck backing up.
Hi, I'm calling in for Julia, and this is just their question summing up what was a very long message earlier. I was talking to the student who was born into an extreme church. Basically, their questions are, what do you do if you have a friend who joined a church that might be harmful? What's the best thing to do for them? They want to minimize the impact of the situation. Would it be helpful to go to a few of the meetings at their church or to look up more stuff about the situation? What can I do? How should I be reacting if my friend joined an extreme church that I feel is bad for them? Thanks.
Yeah, I appreciate that phone call. I've talked about this a little bit on my channel before. I just want to touch on it real fast, though, since the question came up. How do you deal with somebody who's joining an extreme religion or an extreme church? How do you kind of get them out of that? Back in the 1980s and the 1990s, they used to have cult deprogrammers who would basically go around and kidnap people and bring them to a cabin in the woods for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month and sit there and unbrainwash them, deprogram them, like tie them up, make them sit there and talk it through with them until they snapped out of it, basically. So deprogramming people from a cult isn't difficult to do, necessarily. The hard thing about it is respecting their rights, their human rights, while you do it. Stephen Hassan, when he came out of like the Moonies and stuff like that, he didn't really have the same resources on cults that we have today. He made a lot of the resources that we use today to kind of help people out of cults and study cults and raise awareness about them. When he was leaving, he took a hard look at how to go about bringing somebody out of an extreme religion or an extreme cult like that. And he studied neuro-linguistic programming and the deprogramming techniques that they used in the 80s and 90s, like kidnapping people, violating their human rights to deprogram them, things like that. And he came to the same conclusion I have come to. You have to do this in a humane way while respecting their rights. That's what makes this process so difficult. The best way that I have found to do that so far is a method of Socratic reasoning called street epistemology, where you basically ask them non-confrontational questions to try to lead them to the point where they start to see the absurdity of what they're believing in. Point out the logical fallacies in a non-confrontational way. Use words like we and let's, like let's figure this out together. I want to figure this out with you and decide if this is something that we should be involved in, that we should be involved in. You want to do this in a non-confrontational way to keep their guard down, because the moment they go on the defensive, the moment they feel like they're being attacked or judged or anything, they're going to shut down and the conversation's over. That's it. There's no way to get through to them anymore without violating human rights. So you need to take it one step at a time, do it calmly and in a nice way, and make them feel like you're on their side and you want to work with them to figure this out. I've made videos about what types of questions to ask. You can also check out street epistemologists because they ask questions like that on the street all the time to people. Anthony Magnabosco has a YouTube channel doing it. It's really interesting to watch. And so does Cordial Curiosity. I always promote both of those too when I'm talking about street epistemology and how to deprogram cult members. So give those two channels a watch if you're curious about how to go about doing that without raising their guard.